Hello everyone, welcome. This is Julia. Thank you so much for joining me on my craft room adventures. I have to apologize that I've been a bit MIA this month, but I hit a bit of a creative slump and I tried, but I really couldn't get anything creative done. I'm so happy to be back. So today I have a Challenge a Crafty Friend card to share with you. And I turned one of my previous cards, the Magic Picture Changer, into a real wheel card. I used the birthday before and after stamp set, the big birthday cake, the present, and the little chickie jumping out of the box. I used butterfly kisses, the little bear and the fox, and I also used the party hat from Party Animal. I stamped out all of those images onto Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I'm coloring them in using Copic markers. For my bear, I'm using E50 markers. I'm using E53 as my darkest shade, just placing it down or adding it where I want the darkest areas to be. Then blending that out with E51, just taking it out a little bit further into the image. Then going in with the E53 again, just to deepen up those shadows. I wanted it to be pretty light, so I didn't add too much shading, but just a little bit more. Blending out again with the E51, and then filling in the rest with E50 and making sure to blend out the edges. And I'm also taking a little bit of the E50, just a few flicks on the tummy, just so that it's not stark white. Adding in a little bit more of the E53, and that's the bear done. For my fox, I'm using my favorite foxy colors, which is E11, E13, and E15. It's a nice orangey warm brown, but it's not too orange, if you know what I mean. So I'm just placing down the E15 where I want the shadows to be, then going in with the E13, just blending that out, going back in with the E15, just adding a little bit more with the E13, blending everything together, and then filling in the rest and blending everything out with the E11. For the white areas on my fox, I'm using the W00, and now I'm moving on to my yellow colors. I'm using Y21 as my darkest shade, blending that out with Y11, then Y00, and then Y000. For the beak, I'm just using YR02. Also using the same color combination on the bow of one of my gift boxes. Just placing the Y21 down where I want my darkest areas to be. Blending that out with the Y11. Then the Y00. And finally the Y000. I'm also using the same colors for the candles. I'm just leaving out the Y000 because there really was no room to use it. For my teals, I'm using BG49, BG13, and BG11. Just going in with a BG49 on the bow, blending that out with BG13, and then blending that out with the BG11. Just going back and forth a bit to get a smooth blend, because the BG13 is quite a bit darker than the BG11. So I go back and forth a bit, and for larger images I would usually use the tip-to-tip technique to just get a smooth blend between the two. I'm also using the same color combination for the gift box. Just adding the BG49, now the BG13. making sure that the inside of the lid and the inside of the box is mainly the BG49 because that would be darkest. And now I'm just blending everything together with the BG11, going back in with a second layer of the BG49. And then blending everything out with the BG13 and the BG11. Using the same colors on the party hat. And also on the candles, but I'm leaving out the lightest shade in this case. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why I left it there. I left out the darkest shade. I didn't use the BG49. So just the BG13 and the BG11. For my red shades, I'm using R22 as my darkest shade, then blending that out with R20. It's more of a salmony red. Blending that out with R00 and then R000. Going in with a second layer just to intensify the color a bit because one layer is just pretty pale and I wanted it to be a bit more red. Coloring in the second gift box just the same. R22 and R20, R00, and again with the R22, R20, and then blending everything together with R00 and R000. Using the same color on the little beads on the cake and also on the frosting, but I use the R22 if at all. I use it very sparingly. I don't think I used it here. I just used the R20, then the R00 and the R000 just to get a nice warm toned pink shade on my cake. Just adding some shading where the little border is on the cake and also below the candles and around the rim, and just blending everything out with the R000, going in with a second layer of the R20 just to give it a bit more dimension than with the R00, and that finishes off my cake, or the frosting on the cake. I'm using some purple on the bow for the little chick gift box, and you see that I colored a green gift box with a purple bow on the right there, but I didn't end up having enough room for it, so I didn't show the green coloring. If you're interested, it's G00, G000, and G02. And now I'm just using RV63 as my darkest shade, blending that out with the V01 and then V000. For my cake base, I'm using E35 as my darkest shade, blending that out with E33. And finally E31. I'm sorry, I'm going a bit off screen here. Now I'm just adding a little bit of blush like I did in my previous videos with actual blush on my critters, just using a Q-tip. I die cut the parts for the reveal wheel, including a hill. I just used the simple stitched borders by Fawn, and I ran that through the reveal wheel die to get the same border. And I'm using Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide to ink blend it. And now I'm also adding some splatters of the same colors, just for some added interest. I did die cut the main reveal wheel part twice, one with the window and one without. And the one with the window I'm ink blending with tumbled glass and Salty Ocean Distress Oxide, just like I did on my original card. I will link it below in case you're interested. This is actually the third installment of our challenge. Using this card design, the first was to make a magic picture changer, and then we turned that magic picture changer design into a box card. And now we're turning the original design of the magic picture changer into a reveal wheel. And if I'm not mistaken, there will be one more coming up with this design, because I really like it. Leanne really likes hers. So we're super excited to just show you different versions of basically the same design, but they end up looking like different cards. Ink blending the wheel base or the wheel part in the same color, just so that the background matches. But I realized that I wanted the edge to be white, so I'm just using some post-it note tape in just little chunks around the edge of the circle, just about half, and I'm just moving it around to ink blend all the way to the edge, just to make sure that I leave the scallop detail white. Once I was done ink blending, I left those to dry for about 20 minutes before I moved on to stamping my sentiment. I'm using the Reveal Wheel Sentiment stamp set by Fawn, and I'm using the Have a Birthday, and the sentiments in the window will be changing from awesome, amazing, terrific, and fabulous. Just using my grid here that looks kind of a bit worse for wear. I have no idea what happened. I just placed it under my paper pad in the MISTI, and for some reason some of the grid came off. I need to get one of those. I'm just using some Versamark ink to stamp the main part of my sentiment. And I'm using the Wow Super Fine Opaque Bright White Embossing Powder by Wow. Here I just used the Reveal Wheel template. I just added it with a brad and made sure that it's aligned nicely with the scalloping and adhered with washi tape. And now I'm just using Versamark again, carefully removing the stencil because I wasn't sure if it would take the heat from the embossing fan, so I just removed it. Added the embossing powder, and off to the side my heat gun was already heating up, and I'm just running it over the entire panel until the embossing powder is smooth and melted. Now I reassembled the part with the stencil. I added the wheel base and the brad through the back so that you have the prongs on the front. And I find with the template on it, it's just so easy to align the window because you just know it's perfectly on there. Now I'm just lining it up with the back and adding my wheel to the panel that doesn't have the cutout. Now it's time to remove my stencil, close the brad, and there's my wheel. And that's how it's gonna look. So I decided to go ahead and decorate my panel before assembling the reveal wheel because I always find that's easiest. So I wanted to go ahead and add some gel pen details to my images because once there's dimension on the card, to me it's just harder, so I went ahead and did that. I'm using a jelly roll pen in white in the 10 size, I think. And I'm just adding some stripes and little dots to some of the elements on the gift boxes and the ribbons. And I just left those to dry for a minute. And I'm using liquid glue to adhere my grassy hill to the panel. I die cut lots of little clouds from the center picture window card die set, which comes with 3 little cloud sizes that I just absolutely love. And I'm just using my quick stick tool to pick them up, add some glue, and place them down. The large clouds are a bit heavy for it. Smaller clouds work much better with a quick stick, but I'm really happy with it. I did buy it recently. I was using another picker upper tool, but I do like this one. Now it's time to figure out the placement of my images. I knew that I wanted the cake to be in the center in the back, so I just added it to the top of the hill in the center, just right below the birthday. And then I just fiddled around with the rest of the placement off camera, and now I'm just using liquid glue and foam squares to add the rest of my images. I decided to go with the 2 of the gift boxes, and I wanted the critters and the little chickie in the gift box to be adhered with foam tape just for a little bit of added dimension. I just added them to the back, and now I'm just placing my critters on the scene. Moving the bear just up slightly. Just adding the little party hat there. Didn't really find room for the second one, and I like the one with the little, I don't know what it's called, the little, not the dot, but the little puffy things up top a lot better. So I just used this one. I added regular foam squares around the base panel, just making sure it doesn't touch the wheel, and I took all the inserts out of my Misty, aligned it in the corner, and now I can just align the top layer, and I have a perfectly aligned reveal wheel mechanism. I just really like using the corners of my stamping tool or things like that to align my panels, because I'm just really not that great with eyeballing things. I used the waffle flower A2 layers to die cut a stripe panel from the Lawn Fawn cardstock in the largest size of the A2 layers. Adhered it to a card base, and now I'm just using liquid glue to add my reveal wheel. I'm using lots of the Nuvo Aqua Shimmer Pen and Glitter Gloss just on any of the areas that I wanted to add a little shine to, the bows and the party hats, the candles. I made sure to avoid all of the areas where I added the white gel pen because that would just make it smear. Just adding some more to the gift box. Now I'm also adding some of the Nuvo Crystal Glaze. It's really hot here in Germany, at least for us. It's around 30 degrees Celsius at the moment. And my Nuvo Crystal Glaze was a lot more liquidy than it usually is, so I did have some trouble. I actually wanted to add it just to the dots on the party hat, but it just spread out, so I just added it to both of the party hats. And that finishes off my card for today. Here you can see the reveal wheel mechanism in action, just how the sentiment is spinning, and I really like this. It just adds a nice, fun touch to a card. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I'm just so excited to finally be back to crafting. I really missed it, and I hope to see you again soon for another one of my crafty videos. On screen, I will link to 2 more videos that may interest you. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye!